she said!
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective. I have my chats all popped out. They're ready to go. I can see the viewer count. This isn't AI, but we're ready to go.
Yeah, just wait.
Sometimes when we get going off smooth, we're ready to get into the content before people even join the room.
Show's almost over.
Yeah, we're almost done. All right, welcome everybody. Oh, see, now I just saw on Rumble that it finally went to live stream. So you guys are just hearing me say good morning. Good morning, Pony Boy. Cake for breakfast. I remember as a kid, my parents had, and actually they didn't come from my parents. They came from an uncle who had the Bill Cosby comedy tapes. And he had a stack.
I love cake.
He had the whole comedy, like everything Bill Cosby had released, you know, comedy album wise. Mm-hmm. We had the Fernet Branca joke, had the, cake in the morning joke. Yep. That's the one that you just reminded me of.
I love chocolate cake.
I like cake. Give me the chocolate cake.
Dad is the best.
Dad is the best. Make us a chocolate cake. Yep. He's like, I looked at the cake and I saw it has eggs and milk and butter. That's healthy, right?
Yep.
He's like, so I made chocolate cake for the kids and they were all happy. They were singing songs. Dad is great. And then my wife came down and she had what you call a conniption. Her head split open and light came out. And she said, "What are you doing feeding the kid?" As you can see, I listened to this like 4,000 times when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
Why are you feeding the kids cake? And she sent me to my room, which is where I wanted to be in the first place. That was my favorite part. As a dad, I've thought so many times, like, you're a parent and your wife gets upset and you're like, just send me to my room. That's all I really want. All right. Welcome, everybody. We have one thing to ask of you between now and the end of the month. If you're a listener and you have not commented on Rumble, jump over to Rumble at some point into the chat and make a live comment. We are still a couple comments short from reading our monthly goal, and I don't want to be caught off guard at the very end of the month. I think on everything else, we're tracking towards meeting our goals. So thank you so much for making that happen, you guys. Sapphire Patriot on YouTube. Welcome. Good morning. Camarizel. Somebody told me who that was. I can't remember off the top of my head, but good morning to you as well. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so this weekend, one of my brothers came into town. He was just in real quick for a day while he was visiting his kids who live up here locally. And, so it was our first chance to really sit down and catch up since I've been back from prison. Mm-hmm. And he's a supporter and, he likes Donald Trump and all that kind of stuff. He's just a good old boy, right? But he's just a worker. He's really busy with his own life. And he was kind of asking me what I thought about things. And I was like, well, I'll be completely honest with you because, he hears about all the craziness and his a little bit of news from the left criticizing Trump. And then he'll get on his social media, see a whole bunch of cool Trump stuff. And so he's like, I don't really know what's going on. And I said, well, we either just lived through or we are living through what I would consider an American Civil War. And he was like, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, I was just a prisoner of war. They called me a hostage. The president of the United States said he's a hostage. I'm like, I don't know what else you would, what other situation you'd have that going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, and it kind of seems like to me, one side saying Trump was trying to overthrow the government and create a coup. Sounds like Civil War talk to me. On our side, we're like, you guys were running illegal psyops on the American people and, overthrew the government. Sounds like a Civil War to me. So I was like, no matter how you look at it, this is a pretty existential moment in American history. And General Flynn actually covers the same thing. And this is a couple minute long speech. But again, it's another one of those speeches that I think it's worth hearing because it sets the stage. General Flynn was the first of a couple of actors in all of this, because that's what we all ended up being, actors in this big show they put on for the American people. He was the first of a number of actors that was accused of working with Russia and kind of set things off in a very big way, where this is where they really started to affect the administration. Remember, Flynn had been tapped to be the director of national intelligence, to do the Tulsi Gabbard position. Imagine if we'd had Flynn the first round. Do you think Robert Mueller would have gotten as far as he did? Do you think any of that would have gone on? Probably not. So here's General Flynn.
So this period of time that we are in, I call it the third arc of U.S. history. And we could lose this country, just like the American Revolution, just like the Civil War. Now, it's a difficult thing to define, right? Victor Davis Hanson calls it a sort of a counter-revolutionary movement, right? Because it's like this rise of something-ism, right? Communism, Marxism, fascism, but this ism. I mean, I'm staring at one of the greatest, not only the greatest mayors, but one of the greatest men that I have ever known, one of the greatest men in the history of our country, sitting right there, and will be written in the history books for the things that he did, not just in New York, but what he did for this country. And we're about to see a radical Islamist become the mayor of New York City. That is a bellwether. New York City, when we say bellwether counties out there, right? We got 20 bellwether counties. If you win these counties, you're going to become the president. Well, a bellwether for this country, for the rest of the world, is New York City. So I'm going to go up there tooth and nail and see what I can do to help. Because I'm looking at it and I'm saying, God, I'm listening to what this guy's saying. But these are indicators. I'm a soldier. I'm an intelligence professional. I'm a general. I've been at war. I've served 5 years of my life in direct combat operations, okay? 5 years away from my family. I'm not, and thank you for that. But we are in a period of time where I'm looking at the country and I'm saying, my God, what is going on? And I've been watching this for a while. And of course, like I say, and many of if you have heard me, I've said, I fought for overseas for so many years, and I come back home only to find the greatest threat that I was going to face is right here at home against what we now, everybody calls the deep state. It is an infiltration. It is an infiltration that's been going on for a long, long time. And I talk about it in different things that I've written about. Their strategic plan was 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Hillary Clinton, and there would be no such thing as the gateway pundit there, Hoff brothers. And I love you both because you guys have stood the test of time and fought for this country. And we're having this not just as a vindication celebration, which it is, but this is actually another one of these calls, a call to arms, if you will, right? To use it metaphorically, for the man sitting in the front there with a knife.
You got to put it metaphorically.
Yeah. Pay attention to everything. So we are in an existential period of time. And now it's your responsibility, right? It's your responsibility. So people that are watching online, people that are sitting in this audience, and people that hear this over the next month or so, or however we put this thing out, we have a responsibility as citizens of this country. Everybody comes to me all the time. A lot of you in the military, thank you for your service. And they come to me and they say, thank you for your service. They kind of bow to you, right? And I say, I'm humbled by that. I love that. It's a deep honor that I was able to serve our country and survive, right? And so what I do is I try to turn the conversation around to those that are coming in, because they usually say, I never served, my father served, my grandfather served. And I say, look, how do you serve now? How are you serving this country now? Because we cannot go to the gates. This is not a time to go to the gates. We have a president of the United States that's in there that is doing his damnedest to stop a couple of wars overseas, close our border, protect our citizens, stop this killing by fentanyl on our streets of America by the Chinese. All these things that he's got going on, that he's juggling, all these crystal balls. It doesn't take just him, right? And you have to understand that. People come to me all the time and go, hey, can you get this to Trump for me? And I look at it and I'm like, well, what are you doing about it? Right? I mean, what are you doing about it?
So that question at the end, what are you doing about it? That's the premise of the show. I am the solution to the problems I see. And one of the problems we see is misinformation and disinformation that's out there. Speaking of.
Yes, speaking of, I'm not an ad reader, but I'm going to read an ad. Oh, thank you. Let's see what I've got here.
While you're prepping that
Rumble
up.
Premium.
Rumble
Yes.
Premium, yes.
You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech, and that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. That's the deal.
All right. Yes. Go to Rumble Premium. Today, at the end of this episode, we're going to be switching over to private, which you have to be a Rumble Premium member to listen to. And we are going to eviscerate Chip Roy. Yes. We are going to absolutely eviscerate Chip Roy and expose him for who he really is.
Oh, boy.
This goes in. Metal is Good made a comment as General Flynn came in. She said, sure, he would have. And I'm pretty sure that was in response to my comment that General Flynn would have had the position that Tulsi Gabbard would have had. And look, he could have been releasing a whole bunch of this classified information. And I assume that the sure he would have metal is good. You're free to jump in and say differently because you said later he is deep state, referring to General Flynn. I don't disagree. I have a lot of questions with General Flynn, Mr. I taught the CIA how to psyop, and we've been doing this overseas for years and years. So, when people say he knows where the bodies are buried, there's probably some truth to that. Whether he's in on this whole thing or not, there's a lot of people who say that he kind of was, that he's
Hard
the bait.
to say.
He's the Trojan horse. He's the one that, hey, if we persecute him enough, and then he'll come across. But at the same time, I watched the Department of Justice, not the Department of Justice, the judicial branch under Judge Sullivan completely break like all the rules, all of them, including, hey, prosecution and the defense would like to dismiss this case. Well, I'm not dismissing it. I'm going to hire an ex-judge to try it. What? So that kind of makes me go, okay, well, even if he's deep state, red team, apparently deep state blue team doesn't like him very much. So I don't know where he fits, but I do, I take everybody on the surface. I see what they say, and I just take them as essentially telling us the truth. Like I took Hillary Clinton completely serious when she said this.
And boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence, because
so I don't need to read too far into that, which is like people who spread disinformation online need to be civilly or possibly criminally charged. And clearly Mackey did get put in jail for posting a meme. A whole bunch of January 6ers got put in prison for, sundry allegations. A lot of people didn't do very much of anything at all. Let's see. Metal is Good says him and his New York madam friend tell me all I need to know. Yeah. No, there's, I mean, there's a phrase that I like to say, the wicked will slay the wicked. And in many ways, that's what you're watching here. You're watching two gangs, which I don't really appreciate either one of them, the red gang and the blue gang. They both have many sins of the past, and both have a couple things that they've done to help the American people that they want to ride that thing to the bitter end, whatever good thing they did last, and cover up the many, excuse me,
Well, neither one of them seem
Bad
to
things
be
they do.
too shy about slinging stones or mud.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, the New York Madam, which I thought it was the DC Madam. I'm not aware of who the New York Madam is, so you'll have to fill me in on that one. But we've been talking about how Adam Schiff and Letitia James and now Mrs. Cook down at the Federal Reserve have all been accused of engaging in mortgage fraud. When I play this, you put it on mute so I can back up along.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Adam Schiff.
Hit play.
Mortgage company Fannie Mae says you're, quote, engaged in a sustained pattern of possible occupancy misrepresentation on several loans. Are these allegations true? How do you respond to them?
They're patently false. And the president knows it, and the housing agency, president's person, Pulte, knows it. He's essentially doing the president's bidding against me, against Letitia James, against this person on the Federal Reserve. Mortgage is their new weapon to go after their critics. But I've been very open about my residency, both in California and in Maryland, with my constituents and with the lenders. So there's no there. But the common denominator is they will manufacture anything to go after their critics, after members of Congress to try to silence them, after John Bolton, after people in the Federal Reserve, after generals, after former presidents. They're investigating Comey and Clapper, the Obamas, the Clintons. Basically, it's free reign with a corrupt leadership at the Justice Department.
And just very quickly, will you cooperate with the investigation?
Oh, well, we have, and we've refuted their allegations. In fact, we put it in writing. But it doesn't matter. What matters to them is the intimidation campaign, and they're going to mount it against anyone who stands up to the president. But I'm not backing down, and I have to hope that others will stand up to this increasing authoritarian form of government.
Mortgage company Fannie Mae.
Yeah. So the only problem with what he said is that they didn't manufacture any of it.
Yeah, they actually have their own signatures. Apparently, I didn't get all the coughing out. This is, again, take them at face value. This is just basic projection.
Yeah.
This is basic projection. I mean, that's increasingly authoritative regime. Okay. Words start to mean nothing after a little bit. You know what I mean? And he's like, the Shantini, good morning, Taylor and Ron. Yes, metal is good.
I love how he like throws himself in the mix with, well, they always come after generals and presidents.
Well, no, we've got the Mark Milley thing going on.
I know.
Obama.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm in that group.
yeah. Oh, this is just their new targets mortgages. It used to be the IRS and, conservative Tea Party groups, and then it was
they could just manufacture whatever they want.
Whatever they want. I mean, it doesn't even matter what the truth is. Wow, those are like just some admissions. Meanwhile, this on Friday after the show was over, the New York Appeals Court overturned the $500 million fine that Trump had been assessed when Letitia James came after him for overvaluing his real estate. Now, keep in mind, this is another one of those no crimes. The bank said we were paid off in full, never had a problem. We didn't rely on his valuations. We did our own assessments. It's literally just, what do you think your properties are worth? And then they went in and had an appraiser done and said, well, this is what they are worth. And Trump said, okay, right? This is the same court that said that the Mar-a-Lago estate was worth $14 million when a vacant like half-acre property next door is $200 million.
Well, the bank was like, we want to do more business with him.
Yeah, we like this fraudster. He pays in full. So that case was, the fine was overturned. Judge Ergadon was actually removed from any further proceedings with the case. Now, they still left in place a bunch of this stuff that kind of limits how the Trump organization operates in New York State, but now it's being appealed by both Letitia James and Trump's defense team to the Supreme Court, where presumably they'll probably wipe the whole thing out. So this is Tenpenny from New York. She's a congresswoman from New York, and she's talking about Letitia James, this appeals process, and she's also talking about how there is a semblance of justice happening even in New York State.
Well, this is good news for everyone who's a member of the bar. I am a member of the New York State Bar. My father was actually a Supreme Court justice, and the appellate division, although very left-leaning, got it right. This is an Eighth Amendment violation. It was an excessive fine launched against President Trump, $110,000 a day on a deal he made with another party who they both agreed and they were both happy about the situation. Letitia James, as I've said for over and over, her malicious prosecution, her abusive process, her complete upside down view of getting Trump as opposed to finding justice means she should be not only disbarred but removed from office. Same with this judge who made gross errors that were, I think, subject to judicial conduct, commission review, and possibly removing him as a justice too. These are really bad days for New Yorkers. But the fact that the left-leaning appellate division threw this out is good news for New Yorkers, because there is justice in some ways, in some cases in New York still.
Yeah. Some cases, in some ways, in New York still. It only takes a couple years and, $500 million to get to the truth. I think that's the most disappointing thing with justice in America is how expensive it is to get to the truth. And one thing that the January 6th case has highlighted, and we are flying through our clips this morning, which I think is just fine because we're going to get to some discussion on this. But one of the things I think with January 6th is we saw all the problems that could happen in the justice system and in the prosecutorial process. They happened in spades. So as I went through in prison and talked with, literally hundreds of people about their cases and what brought them here and, what did the prosecution do that was good or bad? Did you really do the thing they said you were accused of doing? And a common answer I got was no, but I did other things. So there's a real sense of karma in prison. Like I knew one guy that was in there on drug charges that he'll tell you straight up, I've never done that. I've never sold drugs or anything like that. He's like, I rob safes. I steal diamonds. I don't mess around with meth. Right. Mm-hmm. But he's robbed a lot of safes and got away with it for a long time. So when his girlfriend, which wasn't really his girlfriend, but a lady he was helping move, had some meth in her backpack and he took the charge and he got 12 years for it. He was like, well, karma, I'm serving 12 for, to me, I know I'm serving my diamond time, like that. I saw that more often than not where people were like, yes, I was a drug dealer, but this time they caught me. They had nothing on me, that kind of stuff. I don't know what to do about that, right? You took a drug dealer off the street. You didn't do it in a way that maybe was the way we envisioned them doing it with lock, stock, facts and stuff like that. But they took a drug dealer off the street. I don't know. I don't
accidental justice.
I don't like where I'm sitting. But then I also saw instances like my friend Earl, who's like, should have never been off the street.
Yeah, okay. But there's a lot of people that would say, well, I deserve to be here.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who say that. Yeah. And the system kind of breaks you down into believing that you as an individual deserve to be in prison. It's
right.
Not about what you did.
Right.
The system wants you to buy into your crime. In fact, Nietzsche says something about the criminal does a disservice because he doesn't live up to his crime. Right. They want you to live up to it. So this is Mike Rowe from the Dirty Job Show, infamous Dirty Job Show. Great radio voice.
Oh, yeah.
Totally better than mine. So you're going to be wowed by Mike Rowe here for a few minutes. And he's talking with someone he's interviewing that's talking about Colton Maccabee. Colton Maccabee is one of my friends. Colton Maccabee and I spent time together in the DC Gulag. He was a former sheriff's deputy and showed up on J6 and was trying to help the cops in the melee and the chaos. But that's not exactly what the courts let come out.
I would like to hear briefly people who've spent 8-9 months in jail for essentially being pushed into the Capitol.
Yeah.
With their cell phones on.
Like Colton Maccabee was in jail for 4 years. He was in there for the whole time. And 3.5 of those years, he wasn't even charged. He couldn't even get couldn't get bonded out because he was classified as a domestic terrorist. And when you hear his story of what he actually did that day, he basically tried to save Roseanne Boylan's life and tried to give her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. He fell down on top of a police officer. He was pushed in by the crowd. And in the audio, you can hear him saying, I'm trying to help. And the police officer goes, I know you are. I know you are. And he helps him up. And the police officer says, thank you. In the trial, the judge wouldn't allow them to play the audio so that you could hear the police officer thanking Colton for helping him up. So if you just don't play the audio, it looks like Colton threw the guy down on the ground and then jerked him around, and that's the impression they were trying to give. And another story is my friend.
Sorry, Nick.
Go ahead.
Are you naming names? Like, what judge did that? who decided to take the audio out of the tape? These things are outrageous to the point where it feels like they're coming out of a real thriller, a fictitious whodunit. It's you've got to be kidding me. They did this right in front of us.
I don't have the name of that judge off the top of my head, but I will say a lot of the damage that was done to these people was in their communities, their reputations. They lost their businesses because the government put out this idea that everybody who went there was some sort of racist terrorist. So everybody, they're demonized in their communities. Their sandwich shops, their coffee shops, all these things that they owned are now getting terrible Yelp reviews and don't go eat at this place.
Yeah. Totally destroyed, right? I mean, I look at, don't Google my name. I got 4 boys with my same name. Don't Google it, kids. Stand on your own 2 feet. Don't care what Google says about you. Carlite says jail is a big moneymaker. They do sell prisoner bonds. Yes, they do. That is one of the things about prison is it's a monetized thing for sure. So Mike Rowe's this is incredible. Are you naming names? Can you name the judges? All of them. All of them. Do they sit in the DC circuit and sit in January 6 cases? All of them. There were 1,600, almost 1,580 cases or whatever. Name one that went through just the way it should have been. You look at every single plea deal. You think there's any single person who took a plea deal that goes, yeah, I did precisely what they wrote down on that paper. You know what I mean? No. Yeah. No, not at all.
It's completely laughable.
Yeah. And then, of course, Scott Adams points this out. You notice how the media never brings up a J6er to say, why were you there? Because the answer is never to overthrow the government. It's, well, we thought the government was being overthrown.
Right.
Which, by the way, 4 years later, it's looking more and more likely that was exactly what you did.
Remember the whole, the mantra was stop the steal.
Stop the steal. Yeah, exactly. It beggars belief how it all went down. And I don't fault Mike Rowe being this is like a thriller. Yeah, this goes from the day Trump started coming down the escalator, and it went to his inner circle, and it went to the people that they could spy on. And then as the movement grew and it became bigger and bigger, and then they targeted his supporters at large through social media censorship and shadow banning, but it got too big. It got so big that they actually had to delete an entire social media platform with millions of users. Parler, anybody? You think we'd have Getter out there or Truth Social? You think Gab would be as prominent as it was? Or Rumble, right? Which Rumble had come along a little prior, but had they not nuked Parler, it, poof, pulled it off the Amazon web servers, just gone. Millions of people that were joining their voices together, and generally were more conservative than what you'd find on Facebook or X. Just
can't have that.
Poof, gone.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But again, there's these truths, these things we know. Metal is Joy brought up Mike Flynn being potentially part of the deep state. I wouldn't necessarily argue that point. At a certain point, when it comes to the United States corporation, I'm just which gang do I want to have run it? Okay. This is Claudia Sheinbaum down in Mexico, and they had a Mexican senator that was on with the Fox and Friends crew, and they were talking about Maria Sheinbaum and her involvement with the cartel. And now Maria Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, saying the senator has committed treason, et cetera, et cetera. So let's just hear this conversation. Because again, there are people in these governments in positions of power, democracy or not, that are bought off, that are part of some other agenda that is not we the people's agenda. Okay. And it's an international problem. And, the enemy is inside the gates when you're talking about the United States. And they're also literally at the gates.
Mexico is furious. She's calling Mexican Senator Lily Tellez a traitor for coming on Fox Noticias with me a few days ago and saying this. Listen.
The help from the United States to fight the cartels in Mexico is absolutely welcome, and that is how the majority of Mexicans feel. The only ones who don't like that President Trump is sending help and trying to support Mexicans against the cartels are the narco politicians. That includes President Sheinbaum.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum responding, saying, quote, "It's not a minor issue that a senator gave an interview to a foreign media outlet calling for intervention." Here to discuss is that Mexican Senator Lily Tellez. Senator Tellez, welcome to Fox Noticias. I'm just going to get right to it. Is Mexico a narco state?
Yes, it is. And we all Mexicans know about it. And Mexicans are afraid of the alliance between the Mexican government and the cartels that have infested our nation.
Can you explain this alliance between the president, her party, the Morena party, and the cartels?
Yes, the party has financed, has given, the cartels have given so much money to these politicians, narco politicians of Morena, to get into office, to get the power. So they protect, the Mexican government protects the cartels. That is why President Sheinbaum doesn't want the strong American leadership to help Mexico defeat the cartels. And also Sheinbaum doesn't want the rest of the world to know what is happening here in Mexico. We are on the steps to be the next Venezuela. She is aligned with Venezuela's dictator, with Cuba, and we are losing our country. They have destroyed our Republican institutions, the democratic state, and we must, I think we all Mexicans want and welcome the support of the United States to assist Mexican people against the cartels that have us all in this crisis with the traffic in fentanyl and migrants.
So her response to this, and I know this because her spokesperson came on our show in response to your interview, and they say, well, we just turned over 26 cartel members. We're working, we're sharing intelligence. What are they not doing? And why is she so resistant? She sort of speaks out of two sides of her mouth. We're working with you, Trump. And then she's chastising you for saying we need more help from the United States to crush the cartels.
Because she really doesn't want the help of the United States. She is lying to Mexican people, telling Mexican people that the United States will get in control of the whole country. Right. I never listened such nonsense from President Trump. What we have listened is that President Trump wants to help Mexican people against the cartels. Mexican people are suffering. So what they do is very, very little. We have huge narco politicians here in the Senate, in the presidents, governors. Mexico is a very dangerous place.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because you are speaking very bluntly, very clearly about Mexico being a narco state and the alliance and the connections, the president of Mexico. Are you afraid for your life?
Yes, I am afraid. And the president has threatened me to proceed against me with criminal prosecution, to get me out of the Senate and get me in jail, just because I told you in this space and Fox News what is the reality of our country with the cartels. The cartels are dominating everything here in Mexico. They are in all the offices of the government, in the states, in the cities, and in the national government. So, of course, I am afraid, but I want people to know I will not step back. And I pray under God's guidance that we, the United States and Mexico, must work together to defeat the cartels and to get freedom for our country, for Mexico, to stop it from being the next Venezuela.
Senator Lily Tellez, a very brave woman indeed. Thank you so much for coming on our show and speaking the truth.
Thank you.
Okay, so anybody that studies Mexican politics for very long will run into this narco politician problem. Mm-hmm. Everybody from the mayor of Tijuana to the senator from Juarez to the president themselves all have these ties to Mexican cartels. Mm-hmm. And when you start digging into the Republican and Democrat parties, you will find these little wings that have cartel connections that are very strong. All of your southern states, New Mexico, Arizona, California, a lot of narco politicians in there that are members of, U.S. positions. Carrie Lake is constantly talking about the person she just ran against, he was a cartel lawyer. He was representing cartel people. And suddenly now, listen, his paycheck was paid for by drug money. That's how he got paid as a lawyer defending cartel people, right? You don't think he has some type of, I defended these people in court for years, but now I'm going to put them in jail. That's not how this works. Okay, not how this works. Ponyboy says, Teliz Live streamed herself in the Senate room, making the senators wear the shame on their face, pointing out the cartel politicians. She is in real danger. I do believe that. And I do believe that you can get to a certain position where the best and safest thing you can do is raise the flag, say it publicly, say it openly, tell people you're not suicidal. You know what I mean? If she gets knocked off anytime soon, it's going to look like a political hit and she will be a martyr and everything she said will become gospel truth.
Yep.
Right. So when you come out and open and big like that, it takes away their ability to control the narrative because there's a counterpoint that's been made. And even if it was just made on the floor of the Senate or on a international news thing, those things have legs. This is one of the things Trump was so great at. When Comey tried to shake him down, he immediately was like, they just tried to shake me down. I'm firing James Comey. And, it's like, like all of a sudden it puts Comey on his back foot, and whistleblowers were coming out and then they stopped coming out because they realized that there were still deep staters in charge. Comey was just middle management.
Middle management.
Yeah, seriously. So that's pretty interesting. That's, Trump's dealing with that. And around the world, you've got some countries that are really just on the verge of being failed states where some kind of gang, mafia, cartel is actually running the government. And
why do all the cartel chicks in politics always look like Cruella de Vil?
There must be some like sociopathy, physiological thing that happens there. I don't know.
Because this other chick, I don't know how you.
Why does the villain never look like Santa Claus? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm just saying like this other Teliz, or I don't know how you pronounce her name, but she's a good looking chick, and she's in politics, so it can be done.
Ron, we shouldn't objectify women by calling them chicks.
Oh, I'm
sorry. It's a flashback to 1995.
Here, let me put myself on camera while I say
it. When I was a kid, that was like, don't objectify women by calling them chicks.
Oh,
it's like, okay. All right. So I just think that that's an interesting story, right? Mexico is a bordering state. It's a big deal that they're a narco-state. They traffic, they're at least the conduit for drugs coming into the United States, if not the originators of it. Historically, I think they've been a big part of being originators of it. Yeah. And the cartels have the money. And they control a lot of the manufacturing. I mean, we've heard it's drugs, oil, humans, sex labor, sex trafficking, of course. Mm-hmm. What was the other big one? There's another industry that they're all over. I think coffee. They're all over coffee. They're all over fish. That was another thing. They're all over fish.
If you bought strawberries from Costco, came from Mexico.
Yep. The fruit. Pretty much everything dealing with the fruit is all, they control it all. Because what they do is they're like, okay.
Avocados.
Yep. It's all controlled.
Avocados is like a huge export. That's like their legal Coke.
I really do wonder how you could take out the cartels. There was a journalist that goes down to Mexico that actually hangs out with the cartels. They give her unbelievable amounts of access. She's a young woman, goes down by herself, and she was interviewed on the Sean Ryan show. So she did a long form podcast with him talking about what was going down there. And she said when Trump said he was going to declare the cartels a terrorist organization, they were like, I don't care. They were just like, I don't care. Well, of course we're at war with them. They're at war with us now. Good for them. And the other attitude was, she asked, what if they put boots on the ground? What if special forces come down? She's like, then we will fight to the death.
Right.
Like, this is our country. This is not, we're in Mexico, this isn't our country. No, they have taken to the position that this is our country. Like, we'll just use the military to fight the military. Like, they're not beyond enlisting Mexican forces under a cartel banner.
Well, they're too strongly ensconced in making their money this way. It's not like they're just going to stop. So
no, that's what they were like. Well, we can outlast Trump. Like, yeah. And the other thing, they use social media and they get like rap songs. And of course, Seinbaum will do something like, we're going to discourage this one type of media. Again, now you're going into censorship, right? Rather than just flood the market with better ideas, because you're not really against the cartels. You're just against the look of being for them. You know what I mean? It's It's a mess.
That's sick.
It is. So last week we had the trucker in Florida that tried to flip a U-turn on the turnpike, killed 3 people, totally tragic. We've seen reports that they've grounded over 1,500 vehicles across the country as they've done random pullovers and inspections. Well, I just saw this little interview, and there's a couple swear words in here, Dad. If you're listening, plug your ears or hit mute. But this guy is a Chinese truck driver in America trying to park his truck, and he's asking for some kind of help here. And, you know, we're just going to play a minute of this interchange. And
a minute.
I've seen this. I've seen this with my real eyes happen at Love's and Pilot gas stops.
Oh, no.
You don't understand it? You want me to say it? Oh, translator. So how do you do it in the real world? Okay, you cannot park this chassis in this pit because only certain chassis are allowed here. You can go park it anywhere in the yard.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even catch the guy's words right.
Did you understand that? Oh, now I'll translate it.
Anyways, it goes on. So then,
yeah, take it home. I don't give a fuck. Take it home.
Translate
you just
that.
can't park it here.
So this is after he's like, you can park it in the back, you can park it on the gravel, you can't park it right here on the yellow, you know, like right here. Yeah. And the guy's like, where do I park it? He's like, around the back, over and over and over. And he's like, take it home. I don't care. He's like, you just can't park it here. So this is, again, you know, this is just in a parking lot. There's a little bit of a language barrier. This guy's driving a semi-truck. He can't read. He can't speak effectively.
He's a heavy hauler.
He can't even communicate where to park the truck.
Ugh.
Guys, this is scary. I didn't realize how scary this was. I did not realize how scary this was. Okay. My brother, who I was talking about, you know, that I mentioned earlier about having this discussion, but we're either coming through or in the middle of a civil war of sorts, right? Not a hot one. No one's shooting anybody. Okay. But I was telling him about these truck drivers and how there's so many of them. And he was like, well, how I don't understand how they get jobs. I'm like, none of us did. He came in seeking asylum from India, a democratic nation that we have treaties with, full business relations, no issues getting visas back and forth. Okay. Somehow he got asylum because he's politically persecuted in a country that allegedly doesn't politically persecute people. Okay. Right. I'm not sure exactly what kind of protected class he is. He gets asylum, then he gets issued a driver's license, then he gets issued a temporary CDL license, then he goes to another state, Washington State, gets a full-on CDL license with all the privileges, starts driving, interstate, ends up in Florida, kills 3 people, flipping a Yui on the interstate in a semi-truck. It's incomprehensible. And then you backtrack and, oh yeah, he's an asylum seeker from India. Excuse me? I didn't realize we were taking asylum seekers from India.
Yeah.
I mean, the list of countries that we should be taking asylum seekers from is like 10. You know, like North Korea. Okay. Cuba. Fine. Congo. Not anymore. You guys are at peace. Somalia. No, you got to stay there because you don't background check. So we're not taking you anyways.
It's like India. It's not on the list.
Not shouldn't be on the list. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. What's happening here? I mean, this can't be the case. I mean, pretty soon we're going to start taking Christian refugees from Germany and Ireland. You know, like I can't be in my home country. They won't let me celebrate Christmas. Oh, come here. It's bad. It is really bad. Sapphire Patriot over on YouTube says, I'm all alone over here waiting on Metal is Joy to come join me. And I'm going to let Sapphire Patriot know Metal is Joy is in the Rumble chat.
What kind of a service are we offering now?
Better.
No podcast offers this kind of service.
I'm just letting you know where your friends are. Your friends over in Rumble. I really love our live audience, both on Rumble and YouTube. I know you guys have different reasons for streaming in different places, but yeah. Calvin Cooley had said this. He said, immigration is not an offensive, but purely a defensive action and is not adopted in criticism of others in the slightest degree. It is solely for the purpose of protecting ourselves. We cast no aspersions on any race or creed, but we must remember that every object of our institutions, of society, and government will fail unless America be kept American. And I agree with that completely. Calvin Coolidge said that immigration protection is not about other countries not being good enough or not wanting to give them opportunity. It's just simply, hey, we have to keep our oxygen mask at all times. We have to be strong at all times. We have to be fully employed at all times. When there's a gap in employment, we'll let you come in and have a job. But none of this Americans being unemployed and living on the streets. Meanwhile, we're letting millions of people in. I mean, it can't work that way. Can't work that way. How you're going to make people work, I have no idea.
Well, I could tell you.
Tell me. I feel like a shameless ad read is on its way.
Yeah, that's right. Looking for a comfortable but unique option for your gaming setup?
I was just thinking that. I was like, I'm going to start playing video games.
Check out technosportusa.com with a wide range of ergonomic chairs and an array of colors that you will definitely bring your setup to the next level. Always comfy, never boring. Technosport. Use code RUMBLE for 10% off your entire order.
Woo! Do it. Okay, so survey question to the audience. We are eventually getting a new studio. Ron is laboriously daily building it.
Oh, man.
Okay. And when we get the new studio, should we keep just the desk format with some pictures on the wall background, or we should do something like, should we do like a coffee table arrangement? Like, how should we do it? What?
I don't know.
What makes sense?
We got a pretty big palette. We can kind of do whatever we want. So
yeah, right now it's a blank slate.
Yep.
Literally, it's studs. So
yes.
Yeah, I'm curious what would be the right flow for the show? Are we good the way we are? Should we just kind of, keep our same pictures and stuff and go to the new house?
Like that.
Don't ask questions like that. Or should we go like Sean Ryan, Tucker Carlson, and
pretty soon people will be picking our wall colors?
You know what? If you give them enough, yeah, they will. Kristi Noem said this and this video won't play, so it is what it is. She said, in a bombshell revelation, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem disclosed that an astonishing 1.6 million illegal immigrants have chosen to leave the United States voluntarily within just 200 days of President Trump's stringent immigration measures. 1.6 million. And that does include the Maryland state trooper that was an illegal immigrant. It was an actual state trooper with a badge and a gun. Turned out he was illegal. He volunteered to self-deport.
All right.
So good on him.
Maybe he's trying to work that angle to come back.
Yeah. So meanwhile, something else is happening simultaneously that the Democrat Party is
2.1 million voters. Republicans.
Remember, there's been lies and lies and more lies and voter registration. And we know the voter rolls are bad. And so there's a lot of things happening with these numbers. You have voter rolls being cleaned up. You have a continuous voter registration campaign being run by the likes of Scott Pressler and Turning Point. Simultaneously, you potentially have voters leaving the country, whether or not they're coming off the rolls or exactly how the interplay of all this is happening. But there's a dramatic shift happening around the country as far as voters.
In all 30 states that track party registration, we're putting on the screen the data. It shows altogether Democrats have lost 2.1 million voters. Republicans have gained 2.4 million. That's a deficit that you have of 4.5 million voters. In all 30 states that track party registration, we're putting on the screen the data. It shows altogether Democrats have lost 2.1 million voters. Republicans have gained 2.4 million.
Look at that.
Yeah. Huh.
They say the Republicans aren't the cool party anymore. It's totally become the punk rock party. It's become the party of the people. Clearly, yeah. There's a lot of noise stuff behind you, but that is you, and we are used to it. Oh, the picture on the wall. There's a lot of noise stuff behind it. Yeah.
Oh, man.
You can go watch the first 3 or 4 episodes. There was nothing on the wall behind me. We were just happy to be talking. Yeah. I got a cool new lion picture, but you guys can't see it here on this thing. Ooh, see? Yeah, look at that lion. It's beautiful. All right. Okay, so JD Vance, and we might have played this on Friday, I'm not really sure, but he's talking about taking, illegal, basically dealing with the voter rolls, illegal immigrants, and kind of everything pertaining to that and how it's relevant to this. You're seeing the Republicans overtake the Democrats in voter registration. Democrats are down, Republicans are up.
We had way fewer House seats than we should have One, if the Democrats hadn't aggressively gerrymandered, and two, if illegal aliens weren't counted in the census for purposes of apportioning congressional seats. The best estimates I've seen is that in California, for example, has 5 additional congressional seats than it should have because they count illegal aliens for the purpose of apportioning representatives. Meanwhile, Ohio, my home state, lost a representative. We're literally losing representatives for American citizens in order to give congressional representation to illegal aliens. Republicans are trying to balance out the scales a little bit for basic fairness and for the integrity of our democracy, which the president cares about as much as anybody in the country. We had way fewer House seats.
So in 2020, we kind of followed this a little bit, right? They were doing the census and the Democrat states all got overcounted and the Republican states all got undercounted. And the Census Bureau, whoever did the census, has admitted this. Like they had a problem. Clearly, it was totally a mistake hiring all those Democrats to run the census. Yeah. Seriously, oopsies. Like, why do the airs always go one direction? It's starting to get old. You didn't accidentally nuke Blue Sky. You went for Parler. You didn't accidentally put the Bill Clinton in prison. No, you put Trump in prison and indicted him. You didn't accidentally, indict a bunch of Republican or Democrat senators. No, you did nothing but go after conservative Tea Party people. It's like, you think Act Blue's ever been audited? I promise you the Tea Party did. You know what I mean? So
BLM rioters were all put in jail. Oops.
I think of all the things that Trump is doing is the going after the voter registration, the voting machines, and the mail-in balloting on top of doing a census and pushing redistricting in Republican states. I'm hearing people that are very credible, legitimate people that are looking at this and their eyes are going big because they're like, Republicans legitimately might have a 50 to 100 vote advantage in the House. This is huge. If all the Republican states redistricted, even if just a couple of them did, if they redo the census, take a couple seats away from California, put one back in Ohio, 2 in Florida, one in Texas, the places they were kind of supposed to go. Tennessee's had a lot of population growth. If they do that, it's like low end 40 seats, high end 100. This isn't a situation where the country's split 50-50. No. Your big cities are split 50-50. If you go to New York, it's, 50-50, 45, 55. It's in that 50-50 coin toss split, but they're overweighted. Right. So the big cities overweight themselves. Yes. When you get out into the hinterlands, it's like 80% Republican or, much higher majority. A lot of our listeners come from suburban or rural areas, and that's why they listen to the shows. They're like, the stuff on TV doesn't even make sense to us. Even when the RINOs are talking to us, it doesn't make sense to us. Right. Like, we're peasants out here in the hinterlands with our pitchforks. I don't know what it's like to be an urban person in New York City.
But we know that guy on the TV is lying out his butt.
Yes. And has never seen a cornfield. No. You know what I mean? Yeah. And doesn't know why you would need to drive more than 200 miles a day. EV cars are perfect. It's like the farmer's like, from one end of my farm to the other, I'm driving 100 miles a day. That was the thing with me. Just driving out to work on the RV park. It was 110 miles one way or something stupid like that every day. I was doing it back and forth every day for a long time. An EV is not going to work for me. So it's one of the most encouraging things I've seen is how they've just been consistently going after the election apparatus. It's a good thing. Now, again, we're going through some type of a civil war here. You're seeing it's not just the two political parties that are always clubbing each other. This is real. This is real. So this is Alina Abba. She was one of Trump's attorneys, sat in all those trials, sat right next to him while he was convicted on 34 counts of misdemeanor bookkeeping errors, if they were even errors at all. I don't know what you would classify law expenses as other than law expenses, right? But she was at the forefront of all of that. She got appointed to be the attorney in New Jersey. Then then after 120 days, she couldn't get confirmed by the Senate. So the judges threw her out and made the first seat the new attorney, which happened to be a liberal. So Pam Bondi fired that girl and put Alina Abba back in as a recess appointment. And apparently those judges of the panel, it's like 17 judges and 15 of them are Obama and Biden appointees. They've removed her from being attorney for New Jersey. All of this comes back, and guess who the problem is? Do you think it's the Democrats that are really the problem here? No,
What
it's
do you
our
want
own
to say
side.
about Senator Tillis? Tom Tillis, a member of the Judiciary Committee, has stated publicly that if Chairman Grassley tried moving a district judge or U.S. attorney through the Judiciary Committee without a blue slip, he would oppose that nominee. And that means we would not even have the votes to pass a nomination like Haba out of committee because Tillis would vote no along with the Democrats.
It's not surprising. You know, they're trying to look at this as they all need to get along to go along, but they're not looking at what this does. The president was rightfully voted in by a majority of Americans, and he is entitled to pick his U.S. attorneys, his Department of Justice officials, his judges, so that we can continue the agenda that the American public voted for, which is to get rid of crime. In the state of New Jersey in June alone, we arrested over 300 criminals, illegals, rapists. What is so bad about that work? The truth is it has nothing to do with the work that we're doing. It has nothing to do with the crime that we're stopping. It has to do with trying to prevent President Trump from continuing his agenda, and it has to stop. So I would say to Senator Tillis and Senator Grassley, you are becoming part of the issue. You are becoming part of the antithesis of what we fought for 4 years. The same reason Tish James just got overturned in the appellate division, because it was a hoax and it was misused and abuse of power. And we cannot allow and promote that kind of behavior. It is not just about me. It is about people across the country, attorneys across the country that just want to do right by Americans that voted for President Trump in this administration.
Yeah. I mean, clearly the people want Trump and his team in there. Clearly she's a part of that team, right? Stood at his side during all the stuff that he was going through. But yet Tom Tillis from North Carolina won't let her through. And Chuck Grassley, right? The famed Republican senator from Iowa that's been doing this as long as Nancy Pelosi won't let her through because of a blue slip problem, which, by the way, this whole, like, we have to uphold decorum. The Democrats don't do this. The Democrats don't honor the blue slip thing. There's been multiple occasions where they've gone against it to get their hard-nosed prosecutors into red states, which, by the way, eventually flips the state when they don't do things like clean up voter rolls or go after illegal immigrants or, you know, try to fight sanctuary city policies, et cetera, et cetera. So what's going on, Grassley? What's going on, Tom Tillis? What's the big deal here? What do you got against Alina Abba? You big mad because she defended Trump and your RINO friends didn't win? Like, what's the real agenda going on here? Seriously.
Yeah.
She's been the attorney. She's got 300 arrests. You think she's not qualified for the job? You think she can't do it? You think she's just going to let crime run rampant? No. What's the deal here? So Trump put Grassley on blast, especially basically being like, Grassley, you got to let her through. This blue chip thing is stupid. This blue slip thing, this blue slip thing is stupid. But I always look at this and I just think all of this is happening. And again, I don't want to be black-pilled. Okay. I don't want to be black-pilled. I do believe things can change and I do believe things are going to get better. But my underlying premise is get out. Right. I don't want to do business with these people. I want to be Amish with a cell phone. I don't want to have these people in my life. Right. Because of stuff like this. On one hand, we feel great progress. Illegals are deporting. Peace is breaking out around the world. You know, there's revelations being made about Russiagate and the grand conspiracy coup, and it's vindicating people like me who went through the J6 prosecutions and stuff like that. But even with all the transparency, even with the microscope of the online media apparatus, you know, we are the media now with X being unleashed, you still have problems with cover-ups of stuff that should be a no-brainer. So we talked about this the morning it happened. There was a sting in Nevada for people that were soliciting underage kids for sexual favors. One of the people that was caught up in this sting happened to be an Israeli cabinet member for their national security cyber division. Well, this story was busted, or this guy's name was put out there by Sean King. Do you know who Sean King is? No. Sean King is the white guy that pretended to be black. So there was a white woman who pretended to be black and started, I don't think it was BLM, but one of those, ACLU things. And then she got kind of busted for being white. And her family was like, her parents were like, you're not black, we're white. You know, and she's like,
I remember that.
But she had crimpy hair. Well, now she's got an OnlyFans page and she's doing okay. She was also like teaching school or something like that. Totally not in the activism space anymore. Well, Sean King is the male equivalent of that. He's been accused of being, you know, basically appropriating black culture when he himself is a pretty white dude. Am I wrong there? You looking him up?
I'm looking up.
Tell me what it says.
I'm sorry, I didn't find it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to play this clip. And again, censorship, all the things that we're worried about, it's still happening.
There's now more to the cover-up story of Tom Alexandrovich, Israel's cyber chief, who was busted in a sting operation. Now the new details are out that Sean King was silenced by X. Suddenly in the middle of the night, all of his posts about Tom Alexandrovich had been removed. Turns out they were removed because the Israeli government asked X, will you take down all these posts? And X said, okay, we'll go ahead and do it. And the irony of it goes even deeper. The organization within Israel, the government agency that asked for X to remove the post, was the very agency Tom Alexandrovich heads. So the cover-up just gets worse and worse by the minute. This is the post that Sean King put out there. In the middle of the night, Elon Musk deleted every single tweet about Israeli Tom Alexandrovich that was arrested in Las Vegas for crimes against children. All of them, every retweet, every link to my articles gone. Those lawyers were told a government demand required us to remove the tweets, but they didn't tell the lawyers which government. Then it turns out that it gets confirmed that Twitter admitted it was the Israelis that asked them to get rid of the tweets, and they complied. This was from Grok saying, yes, based on verified reports, X voluntarily deleted the tweets under doxing policies, likely promoted by Israel's cyber unit where Alexandrovich worked. This lacks a public U.S. legal mandate, effectively limiting scrutiny and indirectly protecting the accused from public exposure. So not only did he get away with this crime and get to run off to Israel, but then his same division goes and says, oh, and remove all of ththese tweets. This is like one of those cover-ups that reek of Epstein killed himself. It just so happened the cameras didn't work. It just so happened the guards fell asleep. It just so happened he didn't have a roommate. It just so happened that the U.S. attorney in Nevada happens to be an Israeli who happens to let go this Israeli, and then the guy happens to be the only one out of 8 that gets let go and allowed to go on a plane and passport not seized. It just so happens that all of the posts that people are making about the guy start to get deleted off of X because they just don't want you to know more about it. This is like a showcasing of the Epstein saga on a small scale, and it just goes to show, look, you're covering for anybody in a position of power who's probably spying on people, gathering a bunch of information. You're going to let the guy go. And that's why you let him go, because he was one of your spies, your cyber spies, just like Epstein was one of your spies. I mean, it's just, it's just ridiculous. They just think we're stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not. We see it. I see you. I just can't do anything about you.
Yeah.
I got to go to work today.
What are we supposed to do?
Yeah. What are we supposed to do? There, I've done my part. I've shared it with all the people listening live. Israel's messed up. They're covering for child pornographer, sex offenders. I don't know what else to say. Like, this is a cabinet official in Israel that got caught here. What's he doing here, by the way? Right? Gets caught here.
In Vegas.
The Jewish prosecutor lets the Jewish guy go. We shouldn't say Jewish. It's not the religion. Let the Israeli guy go, right? The dual citizenship Israeli U.S. prosecutor lets the Israeli guy get back on a plane without taking his passport, which, by the way, standard procedure, right? Like, usually not going to commit a sex crime to get on a plane and go to a state that is known to harbor sex offenders. Like, no bueno. I am curious to see if this rises to national attention. Right now, it's staying in the internet world. Yeah. I haven't seen it on any of the news channels or anything like that. But it's a big deal. It's just another one of these things, right? where this system is set up where some people can get away with the most atrocious of crimes. For people that are involved in family court, before we do this, are we about ready to do another shameless ad read?
If you want one.
If we're ready for one, let's do one. Because the next video, you got to stick around for the next video. The next video is going to make you go, huh. It's another one of those, we always knew it, we always suspected it, but when you hear him say it, when you actually think about the criminality that they're doing, it's stunning. For those people that have dealt with family court and dealt with custody issues and state lines and stuff like that, you're going to vomit in your mouth when you hear the next one. But not in a bad way.
Hold on. Let's do something fun then before we get there. Okay. I don't want to be vomiting in my mouth without talking about caddis sports float tubes.
Caddis sports float tubes. Nothing more relaxing than a day on the lake fly fishing.
I gotta get the thing to start first. Shoot. It's not gonna work.
What do you mean it's not gonna work? It's gotta work.
I know, but how come it's not working?
It's probably because the Israelis are bugging it.
Jeez.
We just got all the ads pulled down as we started mentioning this Israeli cyber guy.
Let me try this other one. No, it's not working for me for some reason.
All right. Well, we're jumping into this video then.
All right.
Okay. So this video here is from a Planned Parenthood in Kansas City, Missouri. And this person, it's an undercover video. It's a Project Veritas video. And they're inquiring about a 13-year-old needing to get an abortion. And this is kind of, interstate trafficking.
Her parents don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't do them here, but we don't do them in Missouri. It's illegal. But we do have, I can give you a packet of the 2 locations that do it in Kansas. They have people that'll come pick them up. They have to pay for the whole thing. Yes, I would call them and tell them what the situation is. They're going to help you.
All within Planned Parenthood?
Doesn't matter if the school agrees or not. We say that she was at the doctor, and we can cut off our letterhead so it doesn't even say where she was. Trust me, this is not our first rodeo. They're going to know exactly how to handle that. I will call.
13-year-olds can go across state lines.
Absolutely.
Parenthood helps them do that and then pays for the whole thing.
I won't say it pays for the whole thing, but they will work for you. Sometimes they do end up paying for it. Yeah, it's illegal in Missouri.
How many times do you do this a year?
Like a boy?
Girls coming out of the state, yes.
Oh, every day. We get, yeah. Every day. Every day. We can set up hotels for them. We set up every day. Every day.
So, this is so great because she's 13.
Yeah.
She's so young.
And she's scared, not over here.
And her parents do not, they're like so conservative. And I cannot let them know.
And they won't. If she's in Planned Parenthood, we consider you an adult. You can make the decision, then we've got you.
Okay. And then can she come in here for follow-up?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she doesn't have to go back there for follow-up. Once she's done with them, she can come back here.
And what about like contraceptives?
We'll take care of all of that.
All without any consent?
Yeah, we never tell her parents anything. She's an adult on our clinics.
What?
These are the things that conservatives and people whose children go and have to deal with Planned Parenthood come back with these horror stories. They trafficked my kid across state lines, took him to a clinic. Their genitals were touched and there was a medical procedure that happened. Oh, that's not trafficking. And there's nothing there. They're 13. In no other realm do I not have guardianship and complete parental rights, right? No, not in this case. No, we traffic them all the time. We put them up in hotels. Where are my kids? They're spending a night or two away from home. 13? Oh, no, it's no big deal.
The parents will never know.
And then when the parents come back, of course they find out where the child was because the child tells them, well, I went and got an abortion. And then they go to the cops and they're like, my kid was trafficked across straight lines. They were transported. They were kidnapped. No permission. Nope. Why? Because of donors. Because all this stuff is illegal. There's no carve outs for this, right? It's all illegal, but they just do it every single day. Every single day. Aren't you glad that the Trump administration cut funding to Planned Parenthood?
Yes.
Even if it's just 1 year of cutting funding to stop that type of stuff.
I'm probably going to get a lot of flack from a lot of family members, but I don't care. Yes.
Yeah, it's bad.
Jeez.
I look at that and I'm like, I have a hard stance on abortion, but at the same time, I'm compassionate about it. I get it, whatever, like medical procedures, there's times and places, etc. But it's not that.
No,
it doesn't look like that. That is not a functioning society, right? That is a society that is using statutes, laws, codes, and customs as a cloak for murder.
Yeah.
That's the way I see that.
Well, and for some other activity. I mean, how many 13-year-olds are supposed to be sexually active and having this issue every day?
Yeah. Anti-Socialist League says Sean King's nickname became Talcum X.
Oh, that's good.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I like that. Talcum X. Okay, do we have an ad read ready to go? We're about ready to talk about float tubes.
Yes.
Come out of that dour topic.
I think it'll be better this time. Let's see. Pow. Come on, baby. Yes. All right, anglers. If you're ready to fish remote lakes or quiet rivers in total stealth mode, check out the Nevada Fishing Float Tube from Caddis Sports. This U-shaped beast is built for serious fishing missions, ultra stable, super maneuverable, and tough as nails thanks to heavy-duty ripstop material and double-stitch seams. You get a padded backrest, oversized seats, 2 large rear gear pockets, rod holder, stripping apron, and even a dry fly patch. Everything you need to stay locked in and ready when your bite is on. The fluorescent accents help keep you visible out on the water, and carry handles make it easy to haul in and out. Whether you're chasing bass in the shallows or hiking into alpine trout lakes, the Nevada float tube is built for the job. Use code RUMBLE at checkout for 10% off your order today. That's caddissports.com. Get out there, stay light, and catch the big one.
You know, I'm totally an alpine fisherman.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is go to alpine lakes and float tube and fly fish. I love it.
I remember a story. Can I tell a story?
Yeah, go for
it. We went on a hike up in the Olympics, and you brought...
Was it Silver Lake? Yeah.
Yes, you brought a floatable. It was like a floaty.
It was an inflatable kayak, yeah.
Yeah, how much did that thing weigh?
Oh, only like a pound or two. It was a special backcountry...
No way. That thing had to weigh more.
No, it was a lightweight kayak.
Okay, anyways.
Everything I do was lightweight, yeah.
Anyways, this lightweight kayak, he hiked it all the way up to this lake. And then the lake was
frozen over.
It was frozen over. It was so funny. The whole lake was covered in ice and snow.
Except for one little corner. There was like a 30 by 20 chunk of this, which isn't very big when you're on a float that's 8 feet
There was
long.
like a bathtime size hole of water. And you float.
I put the float tube in it, and I tried. I had my fly rod out, and like, you know, you're casting right next to the boat. It was the whole it was going to be the coolest thing to have a kayak on that high alpine lake. It was going to be so awesome. We got up there, and it was frozen. And it was like, oh my God. And we're camping.
I'm pretty sure I got a picture of you sitting in your little floaty, like.
Yes, I love alpine fishing for sure. I'm still laughing at Anti-Socialist League's Talcum X comment. Okay, we're going to talk. Let's see here. All right, we're going to do. There was a really interesting comment by Alan Dershowitz. It was a video by a video interview with Adam Carolla with about Adam with is it Dershowitz talking
Alan and Adam.
Yeah, geez. Is it Alan and Adam?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like Adam Dershowitz. So Alan Dershowitz, and they were talking about Obama's and just how they are as people. And I just feel like I should play this. It's a little longer, but I think it's worth it. It's context around Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. And because I think things are coming.
Adam Carolla is a little bit quieter. He's not the guy that most people identify with, but I think he's on point every time he opens his mouth.
Oh, he's good. He's a peasant.
Yeah.
I mean, when you hear his story growing up poor on a unicycle, working construction, like he's a peasant.
Yeah.
He gets it. He gets peasant things.
Yep.
He understands, like, he's
relatable.
He talks about building a drain in his yard, and the county's like, well, just build a drain. And then he built a drain. They're like, you can't build a drain. And they had to pay to rip it out.
Well, you know, these days, he's rich enough that he's beyond, you know, doing some of these things for himself, but he still remembers what the tools are called, you know?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So this is a conversation between him and Dershowitz. Yesterday, Alex Jones had two videos. He had a studio video and he had a in his car video talking about a conversation he had with Ed Martin and essentially saying real serious indictments are coming. So as part of our service to the zeitgeist, we're going to throw a little shade at Obama because he needs to be knocked down a peg. And little did I know, Alan Dershowitz is literally his neighbor.
Oh,
really? A hedge separates Alan Dershowitz and Barack Obama. They're neighbors. Like physical neighbors.
I'll tell you mine first on the Obamas. I rooted for the Obamas. I wanted the Obamas. I thought good, finally, good, healing, good. I hope he's the best president ever. And as every piece of information that seems to come out about him and or Michelle, and especially Michelle, I'm like, I don't think they like this country. I don't think she likes this country. I don't think they're good people. They ended up turning into race hustlers. And I thought it's so sad because he could have really use that moment to really heal things and really turn down the heat racially in this country. And instead, he turned up the flame on all the racists and hurt so many black people when he could have said, you know what? it's a pretty level playing field. I couldn't have been president if it wasn't. Now, no more excuses. Get to work, raise your kids, and join in on the American dream. But he never did that, and she never did it. And all they did was stoke the flames of racism and division. And now it's to the point where I do not like them. I think of them as bad people.
I don't like them either. I have to tell you that. I like them very much. I had, many social endeavors with him. He invited me to the White House over and over again, including to the Medal of Honor for Shimon Peres, a dear friend of mine who was the Prime Minister of Israel. But I don't like them as people. I remember Michelle Robinson when she was a student, and she was very radical. Obama was not. I mean, he was known as a kind of middle of the roader when he was at Harvard Law School. And I think during the beginning of his first term, he was a little bit more of that. But once he was reelected, you're absolutely right. He became, his true self came out. He's not a nice person. Not a nice person. He's a smart person. He's very smart, but he's not a nice person.
And Michelle Obama just seems, like a radical to me, and doesn't seem to be a fan of this country and seems to find racism around every corner. And I'm always disappointed that the people, whether it's Oprah, LeBron James, or Michelle Obama, who have that platform and have the ear of the black community, I feel like there's so much good they could do with it, but they go right into the race hustle.
Just that's so easy. It's the easy way out. And you're right. I wish we had somebody who could explain that the trajectory is all in favor of anti-racism. We are not a racist country. We are a country that has some racists in it, obviously. We have anti-Semites, we have anti-Catholics, we have bigots of every sort. But structurally and institutionally, we're an anti-racist country. All the laws are against racism. Even the effort to try to give privileges, including to wealthy and established and well-educated black people, held unconstitutional, but nonetheless, the trajectory will always in favor of racial equality. But people won't acknowledge that because then it denies them the grievance that they live on. And we live in a nation of Olympic competition grievance. Birthday. So my 75th birthday, I was very popular in the Vineyard. I had 125 people coming to my birthday party. One of the people who was invited was my next door neighbor. Happened to be the president of the United States at the time, Barack Obama. We were separated only by hedges. And he said, yes, he'd love to come to my 75th birthday. He knew me, of course, as a professor at Harvard. And then I get a call from the White House saying, is it true that you invited Geraldo Rivera among the 125 people? I said, yeah, Geraldo's an old friend of mine. Of course I invited him. He's coming up from New York just for the party. And the White House said, well, the president has told me to tell you that if you disinvite Geraldo, he'll come to the party, but he won't come to the party if Geraldo is there. So I said, would you tell the president I really appreciate it, but I really don't want him at my party. I want Geraldo at my party. So Geraldo came to my party and the president of the United States was canceled.
Wow. I wonder what his Geraldo beef was.
He was, the only Geraldo beef was that he was on Fox News.
Oh, that was it?
That was it. He just wouldn't want to have anybody from Fox News. And it was off the record party. I mean, the invitation.
Well, and also Geraldo is, pretty progressive. He's not Sean Hannity. He may be on Fox, but he's oftentimes at the time or was on Fox sort of arguing progressive positions as a counterpoint to some of the more conservative positions.
Yeah. He's on Fox News. Can't be with him. How does that play out for journalism? One of the things that Scott Adams points out with Trump is there's a high reward to be liked by Trump. There's a high reward. He praises you. He calls you good. He gives you endorsement. He puts his arm around you. He says great things. But if you go against Trump, it's a high cost. To even just be like, well, we can agree to disagree. You're a loser. You're dead to me. You need to be primaried. You know what I mean?
Died like a dog.
You died like a dog. He makes the penalty for going against him so strong. Well, look at Barack Obama in a real Weasley way doing the same thing. Oh, I'm not even going to come if Geraldo's there. He wants Geraldo to be uninvited. Now, this doesn't play out on MSNBC or CNN, where Trump lets it play out in the public. But what this does is quietly, these little news channels like Fox News and stuff like that, you know, they're opposed to Obama for the most part, but they're going to start to play nice. You're going to see them going along with the narrative. Why? So that the White House correspondent can get a few questions in. And you see what I'm saying? Like, if he's so petty that he's like, I won't be at a party where someone that's in my party is at because he works for Fox News. Well, that tells a lot of reporters who want access, don't take a job at Fox News. It's pretty, again, it's just another one of these things. This is how the sausage is made. This is how the game is played. One good encouraging thing that I thought was great, and now the clock is ticking, Donald Trump, how long is it going to take, is he was talking about the Fed chairman and her mortgage situation, and this was his response to it.
Fire Lisa Cook, the Fed governor, over her mortgage.
If she doesn't resign, yeah. What she did was bad, so I'll fire her if she doesn't resign.
All right. He says he's going to fire if he doesn't resign. How long do we give? A week? 2 weeks? Are we going to let it go on through the next? Tops. Are we going to let it go on to the next board meeting where they vote on interest rates? I hope not. We'll see. He's kind of protected Chairman Powell, but now with her replacement, the board completely shifts to a Trump-appointed board. So the likelihood of
there's an expectation.
There's an expectation that things will change. Yep. All right, Sapphire Patriot, thank you. I'll take a look at that picture on X. She sent me a picture of her studio setup for some good ideas. And Chantini said, I'd be worried about hooking the float tube. Well, that's why you need a good ripstop nylon that doesn't take the hook like that. All right, guys, we're going to be jumping over to private, and then we are going to be ripping into Representative Chip Roy. He has decided he wants to run for Texas Attorney General to replace Ken Paxton. And I say, oh, hell no, not a good idea. Yes, he plays for the right. Yes, he has Republican next to his name, but this man is not MAGA and he does not have your agenda in mind. And in my opinion, he plays a real big game, and Trump called him out right. He grandstands when he can grandstand, when he can take a stand. And just like Thomas Massie, over and over again, they obstruct the MAGA vote and they obstruct the MAGA agenda, and they use our virtue against us. We want to lower the budget, less spending, blah, 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 all has a reason. But just like Thomas Massie, and I showed you guys the video on here, in committee, well, in principle, I oppose this, but I'm going to vote it through. So you had the chance to hold up the entire bill, all the insane spending that Biden did. You by yourself sitting on that committee could have been the thing that prevented them from getting to the floor. But instead you went, in an effort to be principled, I'm going to let the debate happen on the floor, which you knew dang well meant they were going to vote for it because they were in the majority. Yeah. So you had that one moment, that Robert's Rules of Order moment that empowered the minority to have a voice, to be able to stop something bad from even making it to the floor. And you elected your duty.
Yeah.
But then when it's Trump's bill on the floor or in committee, you make a big stink about being principled and whatever. It's because you can only stand up to your side of the aisle. You can't stand up to the other side of the aisle. That's what I read in the situation. And Chip Roy is very much the same. And we are going to be talking about him on the